Hello guys, and welcome to another video from CGC. Today we're gonna be reviewing some hands from a 5K session that we did previous day, and we're basically not gonna use any solver during the review. We're just gonna try to review the hands by injecting pure logic and try to find out if we played the hand well while in game and see if we could do anything different. So yeah, starting off immediately, we have a spot here. We have sixes on the button. Let's see how the action goes. We see the limp from under the gun. This is the weak player of the table. We can see some short stacks around on the cutoff and big blind, but those guys are just short stack regs, so they're not weak players, they're just playing with short stack. And next thing in the hand, we see the reg on the cutoff actually using a 3.5 ISO size versus the weaker player on the table. And then we have a decision to make with sixes here. Now, the table dynamic is a bit weird here, and what I mean by that is we have two short stack regs here. So we have like three options in general. First option is fold, second option is call, and the third option is raise. Now, when we decide to call, if we decide to call, there is a possibility for big blind to shove. So that means if the other two players fold, basically we have to play for 24 big blinds, 23, which is not real bad with our hand, since this guy is gonna have probably fives as well, I'm assuming, and then he's gonna have some ace-x suited hands, ace-x offsuit hands, king queen, basically hands that we are flipping with, and then he's gonna have for sure overpairs. So we're doing well versus his perceived range. We have the equity to call, which is not a bad thing, but now we have to wait the situation here and really think if we need to call in this spot. We have to put 3.5 big blinds here on the button, which is a good position to have, of course. The weaker player is mostly gonna call. He's not gonna play any limp 3-bets. At least from what I seen in the table while I played, it was not his playstyle. If he had a hand, he was usually just raising. So yeah, we are gonna be going multi-way, but the thing is we're putting 3.5 big blinds here, and then the cutoff has 24 big blinds in play. Of course, the weaker player has 50 something big blinds. So yeah, this is for sure a close decision, just because of the reg having very few big blinds left. To put 3.5 big blinds when the fish has 55, it's fine. 53, but then we need some more effective play from the reg, I'm assuming, I don't know. So I felt like it's a close spot and I didn't want to take it, so yeah, I just decided to fold here, and that was the play I decided to make in game. And now that I see it again, I think I'm fine with it. Moving on to the next hand, we have ace-jack suited on the button. There's a reg opening, and then we are on the button deciding if we want to 3-bet or call. Yeah, the weaker player, I'm not sure where he is right now. Okay, yeah, he's not the weaker player. This is the short stack reg again, and then this is the weak player. Yeah, it's the same setup. The two short stack regs are here and the weak player is here. So yeah, there's no weak player involved in the hand. So yeah, we see the reg on the big blind having a short stack. We can do both actions. I think when you're short taking the most, when an action is split between two actions, like call or 3-bet, obviously they have the same EV, so then you need to find reasons around the table to do something specific. For example, if the fish was on the big blind here, I would probably never 3-bet the hand, because I want to play hands with a recreational in the hand, 3-way most likely. So yeah, this would be a reason for us to call if we had a reason, if there was a weaker player on the blinds, but now there's no weaker player, so we are all regs left to play. So yeah, when you have to take a decision between two actions which have the same EV, I think when we are shot taking, calling is just gonna be better for us overall, because it's gonna have the less variance in general, I think, because the hand could go multi-way. Multi-way pots are not really tough to play. They don't have much variance, because players are mostly face up. They don't know how to play multi-way. It's really hard to calibrate hands multi-way, so you won't be able to lose a big pot or something like that. So I think mainly with our hand in this spot, calling should be better for us when we are short taking the stake. So yeah, I decided to go with the call, and then the big blind solves, which is one thing that can happen. I'm aware of it, so I know I can call easily with ace jack now, even winning versus part of his range like ace 10. So, and king queen, so yeah, easy call here, and yeah, we'll just go to showdown, and he has ace jack, so I think well played. Next hand we have ace 8 suited on under the gun, and then now the weaker player is here. I'm pretty sure I remember this hand, so I open 2 blinds, and then the weaker player calls, and we go post flop. So the flop is 3-7-6. Now this guy was usually donking when he had something, like, at least for my sample, I didn't play many hands, like 200 hands probably. So this is the range I was able to take from this guy. So yeah, when he had something, he was usually donking. So yeah, when he checks, I feel pretty comfortable now that I have the best of the hand most of the times, or sometimes with ace high. I don't think I have to put more money in the pot here, because if we're gonna get check raised here, it's gonna be weird and sucks basically. So I think just checking back with this hand makes sense. We have showdown value, we can call versus different bets on turn and river, so it's fine. Now he checks again. On the turn, when the 6 pairs, I see some merit on putting some small bets here for protection, getting value from wars, like a hand like ace 4, ace 5, or any king 4, king 5, any hand that has a 4 or a 5. This guy's gonna call, he's gonna play passive, he's not gonna put pressure on us by check raising or something like that if he doesn't have a hand that beat us. So yeah, I can see some merit on betting, but I decided that I wanted to take the check line versus this guy and then bluff catch any river, which I think it's still okay. The way he builds his range by donking most of it when it has equity or showdown value on the flop means that he's reaching the river with a weaker range overall. So yeah, I think that checking here and bluff catching any river is pretty fine. So this is what we do, and we river a pair actually, and then he checks again, and of course we're gonna go for the value bet. Now the question is how much. Given from what we said already, any bet would make sense, honestly. This guy never has a flush probably, never has a full house, never has something that beat us. We have the best hand like 95% of the times here. So I remember what I did while in game. I thought I'm gonna kinda level him into a call, so I chose to go with a big bet on a 4.5 big blind pot. So yeah, I see some merit on that. On the other hand, we can make him call an ace, but in this case, when we have ace 8, we basically block ace high calls. So I don't think going for the small bet here is gonna give us a lot. So when we have the ace in the hand, I feel like it's best to go with a very big bet here, level him into a call, and then maybe he has 4s or 5s that he never betted on the flop, turn, river, any 3x, any 7x. I doubt he has a 7x, but still he can have deuces, 3x, 4s and 5s. I think, yeah, we went for 2x here. I think it's fine. We have the best hand here always, and yeah, for the reason mentioned, his range is weak whatsoever, so I think using a polarized strategy here is fine versus the recreational player. This is something that I probably would never do versus a reg, but yeah, in this spot I feel it's okay. We end up getting a fold and yeah, move on to the next hand. So next hand we have king queen offsuit on the middle position, and then we open for 2 big blinds, and the action folds around, and the short stack reg on the big blind calls. The flop is a pretty good board for us, and for our range it's king 7 deuce. It's the driest it can get, and we are gonna have a range bet here for sure. I think when we are playing with the short stack, a very small bet would be fine. Usually we would go with 33 or 25% here. Even if you put 1 big blind here for 20% of the pot, it's gonna be just fine. Okay, we go with 25% bet here, and we get a call. And the turn is a favorite card. It's king, another king. He checks, which is normal, and then on the turn we're playing on a stack to pot ratio 2.4, 2.5, something like that. So I think any bet would be okay. I don't like what I did in game. I basically, let's see what I did. Yeah, I went for the 1/3 here, thinking that it's gonna be okay to put 1/3 here. make him call, make him continue wide enough, and then of course I'm shoving the river anyways. But I think our range wants to size up a bit here, like go half pot, and even versus his stack sizing, it's gonna be fine going half pot. Yeah, half pot would be the optimal, I think, here for us. We still want to keep betting any hand, any pair that like eights to throw queens is a fine bet. Half pot is a fine sizing. With these hands, he's gonna be raising some king X on the flop, so it's not like it's a great card for him or anything. And yeah, I don't really like this small bet here. Also, the stacks are gonna be weird on the river. So yeah, going half pot here will make our life easier for the river. It's gonna be a 75% bet or something like that when we go half pot here, or close to pot. But yeah, we get the call, and then the 8 on the river. Of course, we jump and he folds. Next hand versus a good reg. He opens from cutoff, and then we have ace king on the small blind. We just size to 10 big blinds here versus the 2.2 open. You could go 11. 10 is fine still versus this open, I think. The big blind folds, and we get the flop. We get a flop with this guy, 9-4-3. There's a flush draw on the flop. We have a backdoor flush draw with the king. This is definitely a board where I would be mixing my range. I think the sizing that I selected here is 50%, and I'm still fine with it. I think 50% makes sense on a flush draw board. Like if the board was rainbow board, it makes sense to size up a bit, because then he has a harder decision with his backdoor flush draws. But on a flush draw board, 50% is gonna be just enough, because then he has some auto folds with spades and clubs, and then even with diamonds, of course he can continue with high cards and diamonds, but it's not like he's happy because of the flush draw on the board. So yeah, we're gonna get some auto folds from the other two backdoor flush draws. Unfortunately, we block one of them, but I think actually not having the diamond here along with the heart would be better, because we are basically unblocking flop calls and turn folds. So it's better to not have the diamond on the flop along with the heart. So I think our hand is pretty great for a continue on the flop, and then it's gonna be mixing very high enough, 80% betting and then 20% checking or something like that. So yeah, we go with the bet. I think the theory understanding on this board is pretty important. This is why I marked this hand. I think we are on spot here. We're gonna have some check raises with this hand as well when we mix it into the checking range, and then of course with the ace of hearts and king of spades as well. So yeah, we get the fold, and oh, I forgot to mention that it's pretty important that we play with cutoff, because if we were playing with the button, he has way more ace x flush draws in his range. So versus the button, if we had like ace king with king, it would be better as a check call, I'm assuming, but now we can check raise in these positions because we are more dominated versus the button, I feel like. And then ace king has pretty good showdown value, or at least more showdown value versus the button than the cutoff. So yeah, we get the fold, and hand was well played. Next hand we have ace 5 of diamonds, opening from the middle position. The weaker player is on the small blind and he 3-bets us. He's using a pretty small sizing, so I think we have pretty easy decision here, like nothing to do. He's putting 5.5 big blinds when we open for 2 blinds, so yeah, he's giving us pretty good odds. Even versus his stack sizing, it's gonna be a fine call, of course. And we flop pretty big here. We have a flush draw on the bottom pair, and now the recreational is checking this flop. And when he checks this flop, and the reads I had from this guy, and as I said before, is when he had something he was usually betting. So I was pretty sure he missed in this board, or maybe flopped, his queens, jacks, tens are not a top pair anymore, so he doesn't want to bet them. So yeah, I think it's not like he has the king because he checks this specific guy, and then we have to make a decision if we want to bet or not. I think our hand can go both ways. it's still gonna be fine. Like even betting, we're even getting value from worse hand. Maybe, you know, he continues with some ace queen, and then of course, okay, he's continuing with hands that we lose from. One thing that we don't want to see here is a check raise. Not that we don't want to see it, but you know, we don't want to play a very big pot when we have the chance to just check back and easily play versus the recreational and bluff catch him in turn and rivers, and in general have easy decisions in the rest of the streets, because now we are getting check raised. We have to call, and then the stack to pot ratio on the turn, if he check raises, is gonna be like 1, so we will have to call on any turn basically, and we could be very dead here with his slow played aces, ace king. So yeah, I think checking back here is gonna be fine, and this is what we did. Even betting is fine, but you know. So now he bets half pot on the 7. Yeah, the hand starts making no sense. When you see half pots from the recreational, it's usually a weak bet. No reason for us to raise here, no reason for us to do anything than just calling. So yeah, we called. And then on the river he checks very quickly. 8 of diamonds on the river gives us nuts and completes some straights. The thing is that if he had a straight, he would have bet, and I think this is my first major mistake here, going for the jam. Like, okay, there is no mistake jamming the nuts, but I think versus his perceived range right now, which is 10s through queens, if he has a value hand, it's 10s through queens. We have to size it down and basically beg for a call. So we have to go something like 60 to 75% versus this sizing the guy is calling. In game he snap folded, so I don't think he even had these hands, but I think we don't have to be greedy here, and you know, you're taking a shot in a higher limit. You want to win a stack, or you know, a big pot, and you have the nuts you just shove. I think you need to clear your mind here and go for size down a bit, because his perceived range is not calling here versus a shove. I think it would be much better if we go with the smaller bet in this scenario, like 75% bet. So yeah, he folds, and even when he calls, if he calls, I wouldn't be happy here with my play afterwards. I would have marked the hand and say that, okay, maybe he shows up now with hand like kings, I don't know, something very weird when he calls. But I think versus the majority of his range, it's better to go with the 75% bet or 60% bet and get paid way more times than you would get paid from a 2x spot. And yeah, I think that's a fine. So yeah, let's go to the next hand. We have king queen suited from the small blind. The big blind calls here, and we're going post flop with a very good reg, and we have king queen suited. Now the board is 10-10-8 with 2 spades. There is flush on the board. Small blind versus big blind, it's really the hardest spot to play in poker. Obviously you will have a basic strategy for most of the flops, and when you see a paired texture, it really depends on which card is paired to forge your betting strategy. And when the board is paired on a 10, it's most of the time it's going to be better for the small blind, but there are some exceptions here, and this is one of the exceptions. When it's a paired board to a 10 and there is a flush draw with another card that's close to a 10, like 10-10-9, 10-10-8, 10-10-7, all these boards, really you should be mixing a bit more than usual, being too connected, and you know, big blind has good equity in this board. He has all the offsuit combos, 9-8 offsuit combos, all the 10x offsuit combos, like also have backdoor. He has some gatshuts that we don't have, like 9-7. This is an open-ender, it's not a gatshoot, but in general I think you have to mix here pretty aggressively. I would say like 50% betting and 50% checking, and when we have a flush draw in our hand, you see the solver doing checks, of course, but sometimes, you know, you open the sim and you see the solver doing pure checks with some flush draw combos, and then pure bets with another flush draw combo. And when you're in another spot where ranges are tighter, it might make sense easier. But now we are on the small blind versus big blind spot, and hands are not gonna be easy to makes sense, because the ranges are so wide that there are many factors influencing our decision whether we want to pure check or pure bet a specific combo, for example. So to make my life easier in this scenario, I just decide how much I want to bet with my flush draws. So for example, here I was betting my flush draws for close to the average C betting strategy for the board. So I was betting my flush draw 50% of the times and then checking maybe a bit more, like I decided I would bet 70% of the times with my flush draws and then check the rest, and then put some check raises and then put some check calls, of course, and split my range this way. So this time we roll a bet, just 1/3 bet. It's a fine sizing for the board, and we face the check raise, which is around half pot, I think, a bit less than half pot check raise. And I think we have an easy decision. No 3-betting here with this hand. It's not gonna be good. We don't want it we don't want to 3-bet ever, especially without having the ace of spades. But even with the ace of spades, I think it's just gonna be an easy check call, having also showdown value. We hit the queen on the turn, and now I think this is a slightly favorite hand for the small blind, but I would say it's pretty balanced. It's not like it's the best card for small blind, or the best card for big blind or anything. It's a card that brings balances overall. We have some straights, he has some straights, we have some full houses that he doesn't, like queens, and then queen 10 offsuit. Of course we have the advantage on queen 10 offsuit because we are calling it more often that he has it on his raising range. He has to call some of the times. So I would say pretty balanced card. If something, it's better for the small blind. So I expect to see a lot of checkbacks here from the big blind, like probably betting like, I don't know, 25% of the times the big blind here. So yeah, I expect to see a lot of checkbacks and go to rivers. So this is what he does, and the river is a flush, completes a flush. So on this run out, we have to decide what our betting strategy should look like. I mean, sizing wise, and I think as I see the board here, the block makes most sense. Like blocking should be really sizing here, and if we want to have an overbet, it doesn't have to be that much, I think, because of the texture. Like here, you don't want to have an overbet for 2 times the pot or something like that. I think 130% or 150% overbet is gonna be fine on this board. And then I don't know if you even need that, because you have so many hands that want to block here, like a 10x, maybe a queen x some of the times, I don't know. But you have so many hands that want to block here that overbet doesn't make sense for us. It's not like we have tons of full houses. Small blind versus big blind scenario, wide ranges. Yeah, blocking in this spot is gonna be fine in this action, I think. Having only block sizing and then overbet sizing with few combos and some great bluffs, blocking some of his flushes. Maybe you can turn a 7x into a bluff somehow. Yeah, something like that, I would imagine, with an overbet. But it's so hard to find the bluff that it's good for the overbet sizing. So I think blocking here with most of your value and then putting some bluffs here and there is gonna be better for you. So in game, I decided I want to check this combo 50% of the times and then bet it the rest of the times with a block bet. I remember that. I don't know if it's correct. It should be fine. Maybe we want to bet it slightly more. Maybe we want to bet it slightly less. It's like how you feel at the moment and how you want to construct your range, and you decide to do it at the moment, which is hard while in game, of course, maintaining balances and stuff like that. So yeah, we go with the block bet, which is a 33%, and then we face the raise. It's not a huge raise, it's not a small raise. Like here it's 28 big blinds. I think it's close to 70% raise, something like that. We need 30% pot odds. Yeah, for sure we are calling. The question was if we're gonna shove here. When we are thinking about shoves here, I think king queen is the worst candidate. Not only you block some of his value range, like queen x of spades, which is a big part of his value range in terms of flushes, but you also unblock the nuts. So yeah, king queen, like if we had something like but I don't know, I would say that if we have something like king 5, it would be better as a jam, but at the same time you're also blocking nuts here with the queen, like queen 10 that he slow plays. So I think the jams here are gonna be mainly from ace high flushes, and yeah, this hand is not an ace high flush. We're blocking third nuts. I don't see a way the jam being a better play than the call here. So yeah, I think that's well played. Found the bluff with the ace 5, and yeah, I think we played fine the hand. GG. The recreational player is limping here. We have aces on the button. We decide to go with the ISO 3.5. He calls. The board is king queen deuce, and this is one of the first hands of the game. So he decides to go with the donk bet. Later on I found out, like I didn't know it from the beginning, but while I was playing I was seeing some showdowns, that his donking range has showdown value most of the times. So we can make arguments here for a raise. Well, it should be mandatory when we know he has showdown value when he donks. So a raise here would be the best play, but you know, I didn't know it at the time, so I decided to go with the call, which is still a fine option. Basically calling any run out, or maybe raising the river on a triple donk in a good run out for us. So now the next card is the queen. Yeah, we can't do any raises here. Still half pot, very weak bet. Almost never has a queen x. So yeah, we feel pretty comfortable with our hand. And now the river is a jack. He checks. I don't imagine he ever has a straight, or you know, a queen x or a full house or anything like that. He mostly has king x or jack x. So we try to target these hands with our bet, and I think this is a well played bet. We could go with the pot here because we said like he mostly has showdown value in his donk. Like I don't expect jack 10 to donk from this player. Overall there will be donks from recreational with jack x hand, like jack 9, jack 10, but from this player I expect to have the king x most of the time. So we could make an argument for going pot here and making him call a king x, but our bet is fine either way. Yeah, I like how we played this hand. He had king 10. Now the recreational opens once again. Let's see here. He's playing here with this is 55 big blind, something like that. And yeah, he's opening 3x. I didn't have any read of his opening sizings. That was an early hand. Not a very early hand, because I've seen him 4-bet in position 3 times already. So I have decided when I gonna 3-bet, I'm just calling the rest of his blind if he shoves, so I'm fine with that. Exploitative, if recreational is 4-betting a lot as in position, you could make you could play a hand like queen jack suited here as a call from the small blind, and then you know the big blind is gonna play face up either way. It's not like he's gonna exploit you, because he also knows that the recreational is 4-betting a lot as in position, so he would want to play his value hands as a squeeze, and then you know join the pot with anything. Being in position is gonna be fine for him. So yeah, I think calling here with this queen jack type of hands, queen 10 suited type of hands, is gonna be better for us versus these players. But in this case we have ace queen off. I think it's a fine 3-bet and call versus a shove, and this is what he does. He just 4-bets. We can't really call and go post flop with an SPR of, I don't know, 0.6. So we decide to just play the money and play the pot of 65 big blinds. So yeah, went up, losing the pot, and he had 10s. Okay, he didn't have something weak this time, but you know, if he showed up with the ace jack or ace 10, we would be basically know that we are printing money in this pot. I think last hand of the day we have ace jack suited, and MP opens. This is the recreational, I think. This is the recreational for sure. Yeah. So he opens 2 blinds this time. Previously he opened 3 times with 10s, and then he always had a 3 big blind open, if I recall correctly. So yeah, now he opens 2 big blind, but in game I wouldn't able to notice that. Now I noticed that. Yeah. So he should be having a weaker range or a very strong range. This is one or another, or just clicking buttons. I don't think we can make an assumption before seeing showdown versus this open. So yeah, this is a spot where we can call, we can 3-bet, but I think 3-betting is just the best option. Try to isolate the weaker player and play a pot as in position. So yeah, I think 3-betting here is slam dunk the best play, and this is what we do. We 3-bet and we get 4-betted. It's a small 4-bet in general. I think it's a pretty easy call. It's not even 2.8x or 3x. Yeah, we have an easy continue here with our hand, but we don't have really much info about him for betting out of position, so we have to be careful. The flop is king 4-5. There is a flush draw on the board. We have the nuts flush draw, and yeah, now he goes ahead and bombs the pot. So yeah, if we call here, the pot is gonna be 4.2k, and then he has 2.8k in the middle behind. So there's less than, I don't know, 0.6 SPR, which is gonna be almost always an all-in on the turn, and we are gonna be calling because of our equity. So I think this is whatever. I just tagged this hand because it was a big hand, but I think it's an easy play here and just solve. You can call versus specific players that are gonna have, I don't know, Jack 10 off here. Just gonna be very spewy, and you don't want them to fold. You don't want them to fold worse hands from yours because they will just punt it on you. But I think this guy is not one of these guys. So shoving and just praying that we have 50% here somehow versus king queen or something is gonna be the play. But even if we have less than this and he has a hand like ace king aces, it's gonna be fine. We have the odds overall versus his range. I think we have what it takes to just shove and play for the rest of the money. So yeah, he calls, and then we bink the turn. He runs it once, and he has aces. So we win one of the biggest pots of our life in this 5k NL shot by coolering. We sucked out the recreational winning with 35%, 36% equity here. I'm not sure. So yeah, pretty lucky. So that was the session and the video of today. I hope you enjoyed it, and guys, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe, and tune in for more content from CGC. See you, bye.